Greetings, everyone. I am Dr. Rebra Foston, the CEO of the FostonFoundation, a newly formed 501c3 in Nashville, Tennessee. Our mission is to train caring adults to guide at-risk youth safely to adulthood by using an enhanced technique known as holistic mentoring. This technique will allow participants to find and nurture the gift in each at-risk youth while steering them around some of the common pitfalls of adolescence. Before I begin this brief presentation about this concept of holistic mentor guide training, please allow me to transport you back in time to the years 1984 to 1996 to see how we got here. The year was 1984, not George Orwell's version, but Gary had fallen on very difficult times. Gangs had taken over the city, and the National Guard was called on routinely to quell the gang violence over drug territories. During this period, Gary was awarded the infamous distinction of being one of the worst cities to live in America, and was eventually named the murder capital of the United States by 1994. I was born and raised in Gary, Indiana, and returned there to do my residency training. And it was then I realized that my community was throwing away our young people daily. So in 1984, after I completed my family practice residency and became board certified with my specialty in adolescent medicine, also known as an pediatrician, as opposed to a pediatrician, on July 1st, I opened my practice for teenagers only, but 1 month later, I had to open the Foston Adolescent Workshop, a mentoring program, to use as a recycling center for the human potential that had been discarded. I knew that the young people in my community would need more than me just writing a prescription. They would need my time. Shortly after I started my mentoring program, the high school closest to me was nicknamed Murder High because one of their 15-year-old students snuck off at lunchtime and killed an elderly woman. Now, many of the youth who attended my mentoring program also attended Murder High. But we worked with hundreds of at-risk youth, and we taught them how to write and perform the following projects. We met every Saturday afternoon for the next 12 years, from 1984 to 1996. And against the backdrop of this hopelessness that I've painted for you, this is what we were able to accomplish. I got the youth to write and produce 3 original musicals, each with 30 songs that were written and copyrighted. They gave 5 performances each. They wrote and produced 18 television episodes. 6 of those episodes were actually produced on the campus of Murder High. They also latch hooked a 25 square yard tapestry that said, "Don't do drugs," which was on a public display in 3 facilities in 3 different cities. The small amount of data we were able to gather over these years showed some very promising trends. We were able to show a decrease in school truancy, the dropout rate, and gang involvement. We also showed a decrease in the recidivism to juvenile justice programs, but the samples needed to be much larger. We were able to demonstrate an increase in both parental and community involvement, while at the same time showing a definite increase in the skill of working with at-risk youth. On January the 1st, 2021, we formed the FostonFoundation to be able to pool over 130 years of mentoring experience. Essentially, our goal is to try to recreate all of the successes of the earlier workshop. And even though all of the things that are different today with our young people, we think they still need our time. This time, we want to strengthen our methods of data collection and research so that we will be able to publish some of our findings. I have been asked repeatedly, why are we trying to recreate this program and why now? My answer has been that our young people are perhaps at a higher risk now than the youth were in Gary, Indiana in 1984. The effects of COVID-19 on our collective consciousness is borne by a young person at a relative rate of 50 times what we have been experiencing as adults. But my ultimate answer is always, if not now, then when? We have found that our at-risk youth have developmental deficits that cannot be corrected by traditional mentoring alone. To catch up with their peers, they will need an enhanced mentoring technique. And our philosophy of mentor guide training is that there is more to mentoring than meets the eye. And that is because you can only see what is behind the eye, meaning you can only see what you have been trained to see. The strategy of the Foston Foundation is to incorporate the philosophy of holistic mentoring into its four-part guide training. What is holistic mentoring, you ask? Holistic mentoring was developed after I closed the workshop in 1996 and went back to school and obtained 2 additional degrees to try to figure out why the workshop had been so successful. It was developed as a complement to traditional mentoring by assisting the mentee to develop all 12 of their psychological, sociological, and theological identities needed to get through adolescence safely, thus making mentoring more therapeutic. In this holistic mentor guide training, the participant will learn about the 4-part training designed to increase knowledge and change attitudes and practices in working with young people. This training consists of a unit we call basic training, then it follows with Holistic Mentor 1, followed by Holistic Mentor 2, and then finally to our guide training, which all must be done sequentially. We will look at each one of these individually. Our basic training module could just as easily have been named prerequisite training because all of the information shared here is fundamental to getting to know the adolescent and all of the work that must be completed during a relatively short developmental period. There are 12 adolescent identities that must be formed during adolescence. That is why this is known as the identity formation period. As you can see, there are 4 psychological, 4 sociological, and 4 theological identities that each adolescent must establish. Now, if any one of these identities is poorly formed or missing, that adolescent can experience several bad things. That person can expect further developmental delays, or they may remain in adolescence forever, or they may develop an addiction to hopelessness. Our basic training consists of a total of 6 hours of instruction in these 4 critical areas: adolescent psychology and development, adolescent loss and depression, and the addiction to hopelessness. Now, while we hope that our intervention strategy disrupts the symptom complex that can progress to this addiction to hopelessness, we still must learn and understand the roots of this addiction and why it is so difficult to treat. A certificate similar to this will be awarded by the Foston Institute to the participant successfully completing this basic training. This basic training module must be successfully completed before being allowed to proceed to the next level. The second level is Holistic Mentoring 1. At this level, the participant will learn about the 6 phases of holistic mentoring and why they're 6. They will learn the desirable traits a holistic mentor should have, but most importantly, they will learn how to spot mentoring misfits or those adults who should not be allowed to interact with young people. Holistic mentoring helps to identify the poorly developed or missing identity that young person might have. And when an identity is missing, that young person can feel like they have a hole in their soul. The therapeutic nature of holistic mentoring is fulfilled when it is used to help fill in these missing identities. To pass the holistic mentoring level 1, the participant must know the difference between traditional and holistic mentoring. They must be aware of all 6 phases of holistic mentoring and why we need all 6 phases. They must be able to quickly identify mentoring misfits. They also have to become skilled at garnering community resources for identity development. And they must be able to monitor their own degree of wholeness, because it is a requirement that the holistic mentor must be more whole than the youth that they are trying to help. This certificate is similar to the one issued from the Foston Institute to the participant who successfully completes Holistic Mentor Level 1 training. Every round goes higher and higher in garnering new skill sets. Holistic Mentor Level 2 not only focuses on finding the gift in every at-risk youth, but also in identifying the common pitfalls that we find in adolescence. We must help each at-risk youth find their gift, but it doesn't help to find a person's gift if a hole in their soul keeps them from developing that gift. At this level, the focus is again on assessment, but this time it is assessment of the learning style, the personality, a gift scan, and to see if they have any ACEs or adverse childhood experiences that we need to know about. A participant who successfully completes this level 2 holistic mentoring will be able to assess a youth on at least 7 different indices. They'll be able to identify and refer adolescent depression. They also will be able to work with community agencies to help them with these referrals. They'll be able to assess and know when to refer ACEs or adverse childhood experiences, and they will be able to find a gift in each one of our at-risk youth. This certificate is similar to the one awarded by the Foston Institute to that participant who successfully completes Holistic Mentoring Level 2. Successfully completing this phase allows you to enter the next level, which is an internship at the FostonFoundation. Holistic Mentor Guide training requires the participant to demonstrate that they can proficiently negotiate each portfolio requirement while in the meantime finding their own gifts. To qualify as a guide, you must have traveled the path first. Those participants who make it through the rigorous Holistic Mentor Guide training will be among an elite group of mentors who have enhanced mentor training that allows them to guide any at-risk youth to adulthood safely, and hopefully that at-risk youth will turn around and become a holistic mentor guide themselves. The participants at this level will maintain an active literary, performance, musical, and arts and crafts portfolio. In addition to the main projects that they will be required to complete in each area, they will also have an optional choice that they can complete. This certificate is similar to the type of certificate that will be received at the successful completion of this internship, and it will be awarded from the FostonFoundation. We are reconnecting the theory to the practice of working successfully with young people. Remember, we were successful initially, then I went back to school to understand the theory of why we were successful. So now training others in that theory reconnects and brings it to a full circle. As we strive to increase our knowledge of adolescence, we are humbly reminded of this quote from Teddy Roosevelt, that no one cares how much we know until they know how much we care. So the FostonFoundation is looking for caring adults to be in our first group of inaugural guides to receive this training and to help us recreate and improve on the success of the earlier workshop. If you are interested in being selected as one of our inaugural recruits, or you would like to recommend someone to us that you think we would be looking for, please contact us at FostonFoundation@gmail.com. Please act now because the training space for this inaugural class is limited. Again, I am Dr. Rebra Foston, the CEO of the FostonFoundation, and we thank you so much for your time and interest in this project.